Hello everybody, Martin here, back with round 4 of this Legacy League, playing Storm. So rounds 4 and 5 I will have, will be recorded after the fact, so these are replays, but I hope you still get something out of them. So round 4 we were on the draw, and we get this hand which I decided to keep. It's a little ways away from getting somewhere, but all the mana is promising, and we have a land and a disruption spell as well. So our opponent keeps 7 Bloodstained Mire into Volcanic Island and a Delver. Okay, well, so the Bloodstained Mire is a little quaint. I'd have to assume it's for budget reasons, but I could be wrong. If it's like Rug Delver or Grixis Delver, then it doesn't make sense to have Bloodstained Mire, I don't think, because it doesn't get the Tropical Island. Anyways, so we draw another land, which is pretty good. Well, it could be better, I suppose, but this lets us fetch island with a Tarn and be wasteland proof. So it's time for our opponent to flip the Delver, which they don't. Maybe they drew that Scalding Tarn. So maybe not budget as they have a Tarn, but maybe they only have like 3 Tarns. Alright, so our draw step yields us Cabal Therapy number 2, which is not terribly exciting, but yeah. That's pretty decent though. It lets us set up and we're not under a great deal of pressure. And I feel like normally it's annoying to Therapy into like open blue mana because there's a good chance they'll have Brainstorm, but I have to assume, being a Delver deck with them not brainstorming last turn with a Volcanic Island and a fetch land, that they don't have Brainstorm. And they let it resolve. And here we name Force of Will, and we hit big time. So their hand was Double Force, Daze, Bolt, and Tarn. So I guess there's no real reason for them to force pitching Daze, because then they'll lose the Daze, and if they draw another blue card, then yeah. But then we don't know, right? So maybe they should have forced, I'm not sure. It's probably better to not do it and then hope that I need something else. Maybe I'm not like combo. Maybe I'm, I don't know what, like Grixis with basic swamp. Probably not. So this doesn't really tell us what kind of Delver deck we're up against, but we get bolted, which is fine. They're on to us being on combo. They don't flip Delver a second time around either, so we get kind of lucky. They decide to draw the card though. So their hand is Daze, Scalding Tarn, and whatever they drew that didn't flip Delver. And yeah, alright, it's another Delver. That kind of makes sense. So let's see where we are here. We are not really close, right? Basically, we need to get to 7 mana to Infernal Tutor for Ad Nauseam. Or, I guess, 7 mana to Infernal Tutor for... No, 8 mana to Infernal Tutor for Past in Flames. For that to be a win, so... But, like, we have a lot of live draws, like any Ritual... is a huge thing, and like lines that I'm in is probably just a win. Brainstorm is fine. Here I decide to run the Therapy into the Daze because like that way the Therapy is out of my hand in case I need to go Hellbent, and like alternatively I would have Brainstormed, but If I brainstorm, then I'll have to pay 2 mana for it, and I'll still have the therapy in my hand. It's a little bit backwards, I suppose, but this way I get a card out of my hand. I could have just, I guess, saved the therapy and imprinted it on a Chrome Box on retrospect. They let resolve, because yeah, why wouldn't they? So, and then we fetch out an island and we brainstorm. And oh yeah, I think I made a pretty big punt here. Like, what did we do here? We put back brainstorm, or what? Yeah, brainstorm and the Chrome Box. And I just brought out my pedals getting all eager here, but then realized that I don't actually have anywhere to go. So I have to wait and untap, which is pretty huge. And fortunately, we don't get punished for that. Now, if I had Empty the Warrens, we could have gone somewhere, but probably wouldn't have been enough because now they actually reveal from their Delvers, and they reveal a Price of Progress. So that tells us this is blue-red Delver. That also tells us that in all likelihood they're not running Wastelands, which is pretty big. They decide though that they don't want to draw that, so they get a draw step. Their hand is Scalding Tarn and whatever they drew. So I think like, oops, sorry, I clicked through that a bit quickly. I think like worst case scenario, it's a Daze. And the play I'm about to make does not let us play around Daze, which is I am Infernal Tutoring for a Second Cabal Ritual. That'll get us to Threshold, because Ad Nauseam is really off the table here at 8 life, so we have to go for Past in Flames. So here we go. Hope it wasn't Daze that they randomly drew into. And it wasn't. Great. So we get to win. Play out the Chrome Box just for Storm. Won't matter. Crack a Lady for red, get Past in Flames, and the rest is fairly academical, whatever. And we therapy them just to see what they drew. Scalding Tarn number 2. And Storm is 11, so that's it. Alright, and we get to win. Many Tendrils Laters. Alright, so I'll be back for game number 2. Game number 2, we get this hand on the draw. This is like about as greedy of a keep as you get, right? But on the draw, we get the draw step and the probe. We have initial mana sources, so I actually a bit carelessly decide to say what the hey. And what they have turn 1 Delver. We don't draw land, we draw Duress, which is pretty bad. And we probe into Daze Force blue card in the form of Storm Chaser Mage, a Monastery Swift Spear, and Tarn. We luckily draw into a Delta here, and we decide to pass. I think, on retrospect, do I like Duressing here, or therapying? If we therapy, then they'll just Daze, but then the Daze is out of the hand, and we would be able to Duress them later. But I guess it won't be that big of a deal with these petals, so maybe it's... Yeah, I think actually I like Duressing here. Having the mana for a later turn. It's basically trading a card in hand for a mana on another turn to be able to play around that Daze. Alright, so they don't flip on the Delver. So I'm getting quite lucky here against this opponent, or rather they're getting quite unfortunate with their Delver flips. And it turns out what they drew was a second Monastery Swift Spear. So we get 3 to the dome, which is not too bad. We draw Ponder, which is also not too bad. And see here, like, I decide to duress them now, or sorry, therapy them. And they daze. And if I had done it last turn, I would be able to ponder this turn off the Underground Sea. Instead, I like waste a pedal doing it. So I think that was a suboptimal play. Ponder shows us Swamp Therapy Probe. We don't mind having the second land, but we don't really want the therapy. And so, and what we want is business, basically. So we end up shuffling here. And draw a second land, so it's not too bad. Alright, so what do they do here? They still cannot flip Delver to save their lives. There's a Delta. So their hand would be Force, Storm Chaser, Mage, and blank, something I don't know about. And we are getting really close to dying here. Like, they just need, if they find a cantrip, we're dead for sure. Because it'll flip the Delver, and it'll find more spells, and the Swift Spears will just grow. And they flip the Delver, but it's off at days. So, yeah, it could be worse. I think we're live for this draw step. We fetch, just not draw the land. But unfortunately, we draw a lady, so we lose. Concede that game. So that was pretty quick, and our hand never did anything. We got one ponder that we had to shuffle on, and yeah, sometimes that happens. Alright, so I'll be back for game number 3. By the way, in terms of sideboarding in this matchup, what I do is I remove Ad Nauseam and bring in Empty the Warrens. Like just a straight swap, nothing else. I don't really have anything else that would really work here. I actually consider just briefly bringing in the Doomsday package because they don't have Wastelands, but I think their clock is just too quick. There's a very real chance that after losing half our lives, we'll have to give them 2 more draw steps to find a way to kill us, so I don't like that. So yeah, we want to be on the play for sure. Let's just get the chat up so I can follow the shuffling and non-shuffling with the ponders and stuff. So this is a awesome hand. We just need to find like a discard spell, basically. So let's fetch out. We need afford to fetch around the Wastelands because they don't have them. Or not fetch around them, but you know what I mean. So here I think like getting the Past in Flames is pretty nice because it gives us sort of a little bit of resiliency through counter spells, and we don't mind getting the second land either. We don't want the pedal, but we will get the shuffle with the Tarn. So they go Delver. Yeah, I remember thinking like here is a setup against the Delver deck where it would really be so annoying if they had like Grafdigger's Cage, having just set up this Past in Flames draw. So here, there's a world where we're supposed to like Infernal Tutor for another ritual, but I think I like just passing here. Can they flip the Delver? Yeah, alright, this time they flip him in the first go, and not off a ponder, so that's pretty sweet. They have more lands. There's a Swift Spear, fetch, to ponder, I guess. Oh, to brainstorm. Wow, that just seems weird. They drew a ponder. They flipped the Delver on the ponder, and they've used their land drop, so I don't know why they would waste a brainstorm. Maybe it's because they are very worried that we'll win on our coming turn, and their hand is so bad that they need the chance to replace, like, to draw multiple counter spells and keep them. Still, I don't know. Alright, so we take 5, drop to 19, or sorry, drop to 14, and we'll drop to 13 now, fetching. We draw land, so we really would have loved if what's it called? A discard spell here. So here I decide to test the waters. I think like they don't know what we're sitting on, and us leading on a ritual. It happened pretty quickly here, but when I was playing it, I sat and didn't do anything for a while. So it made it seem like I was really thinking and running things over, and then after a good long while, I cast a dark ritual. So sometimes people sitting on like one hard counter will think like, okay, they only have one black initial mana source, so if they have a discard spell and I don't counter this dark ritual, then I've just lost. Whereas if they don't have the discard spell, or rather if they do have the discard spell and I force this ritual, they don't have another way to get the black mana, then I'll get another turn. Maybe they don't have another ritual. So, but anyways, our opponent didn't bite or don't have anything. So here I decided to punt it a little bit, I think, and just go for it. The issue being that if they have a counter to Past Flames, I don't really get to go again next turn. But the way I set it up here, I actually get to, I'll cast the Lotus Petal, and I'll have, I think, enough mana to actually recast Past Flames. Let's see if I got that right. So we have 3-4 mana, 5 with the island. Then we'll have like 5 becomes 8, 8 becomes 11, minus 4 is 7. That gets countered. Minus 5 is 2. The thing though is, if they have a Force of Will and they're smart, they'll just save it for when I have to cast this Infernal Tutor, right? Also, there was a point to cast the Force. I tapped out. I used up all my black mana because I had to keep a red floating to have double red to be able to flashback Past Flames in case it got countered. But that didn't happen, so at this point I was thinking, okay, maybe they don't actually have anything, which is weird. What did they keep, right? They had, I guess, just fast beatdowns, and the Brainstorm showed them nothing. Moment of truth, and it resolved. So, I mean, so here I went ahead and cast the Infernal Tutor just to get the Tendrils and get that out of the way, because I really want to see what they were sitting on, so I cast the Ponder, I think, right? Because I'm thinking, like, the only thing they could have here is, like, Mindbreak Trap that messes with this. Unfortunately, I didn't find discard spell or a probe, so I decided to shuffle and got a land. So, like, I think I just have to assume they don't have the Mindbreak Trap, because that would be so narrow and weird. And it turns out that they don't. And we just got there, so they just kept a hand with no interaction and got punished. So, yeah, that felt a bit lucky, honestly. But, yeah, sometimes that's how it plays out. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and stick around. I'll be back with the final round. Thanks. Bye-bye.